Okay, and I think we're live. All right, guys, welcome to another episode of Starting 101. My name is JP from jpadamsonline.com, and this is basically a show documenting the process of starting from scratch and taking some products and turning it into a business. Um, reason to stick around today is we're going to be talking about essentially shifting your focus as far as like how you're looking at value creation and value definition as part of your business. And the reason why I wanted to cover that is because creating a job for yourself is not creating a business for yourself. And so what got me wanting to talk about that is because at the stage that I'm at right now, if you've been following along, I've kind of gone through the making a decision on starting a business, looking at the high level goals, looking at who I wanted to serve and all those things. And at this stage, I'm looking at what is the product and what am I going to offer for this. After all, if it's not making money, it's not a business. So, in looking at that, I got to this stage where it's like, okay, what's the product going to be? What am I going to offer? And this is the part that's actually fun, right? You can create, you can offer, you can make something tangible, you can make something crazy, you can make something physical, or you could even, offer up a service. Any of these things are things that you could offer as part of the value that you're creating. It could be as complex or as simple as you want it to be. So for me, I've kind of been thinking about that a lot because one of the biggest things that I didn't want to do is I did not want to create a job for myself. And the reason I want to say that is because I think that a lot of people confuse the idea of scaling a business with, just instead of thinking about it like you don't have to do things at scale, like understanding that versus the complete absence of a system. Like that's two totally separate things. So I started to research and see what are people struggling with as it relates to like the group of people that I'm trying to serve, right? What are their main struggles? And as I started to see that, it just seems like the biggest thing that came through, there were like three things that came through as the main thing. And it's like one of them is definitely like fear. The other one is definitely like um what was it? I have a whole like page load of these things. But I guess not feeling emotionally ready and needing to have like a perfect idea. Like these are some of the things that I hope, but basically, like they have reasons to not start. They have reasons that for them to not start. That's really it. And that might be a lack of motivation. It might be a lack of energy. It might be a lack of inspiration. It might be a lack of support. But all of those things kind of like led to it. So I kind of like wanted to look at it because as I was thinking about this topic, like five things really came to my mind. And I just figured, you know what, I'd run down the bullets and kind of like cover them. Like the things to keep in mind when you're thinking about the value component, the product component of your business. Now, most people really start with that, right? Where it's like, okay, cool, I have this product and that's it. But it's like, it's a far cry to have a product or a service or, a book or a SaaS product or a software from actually having a true money making business. So, as I thought about that, I kind of like wanted to touch on this because I think that I hear and I see a lot of people, and I've touched on this too before, where people that think they have a business, but they're caught up in the wrong side of the game. So the first thing that kind of came through was like, know the game that you're playing. So essentially, there's a kind of like the game of, business and the game of entrepreneurship is basically around the idea of creating a system that makes money. It's not about, going in and exchanging direct time for money, but it's like creating a system that makes money. Now, when you know that you're creating a system that makes money, then you got to look at and say, okay, what's the point of your products in that business? Now, your products serve a purpose, but it's not just to be the thing that you exchange for the money that comes in, right? Your products can then play different parts in your system. Like, for example, a big part of what's made the research phase of this kind of like defining the first product difficult for me is because I want to come up with something that helps me to generate leads without losing money in the process, which means that whatever my first offer is, even if it's like the first thing that I'm giving away is free, at the end of that free thing, there should be something that makes more money than it cost me to acquire the customer. Now, just focusing on that one challenge, because that's it. That's my one problem right now. Nothing else, is how do I make sure that in my product creation and the value creation aspect of this business right now, I make sure that the first thing people encounter is something that's good enough at a price point that's enticing enough and speaks to the need of my core market enough that I can exchange that for an initial entry value, an initial entry price that is more than it costs for me to acquire a single lead. Like, that's off the top, that is my main concern. Now, you could look at that and it's like, all right, there are different ways you could do this. You could go around and you can, completely sell at a loss and acquire people at a loss. Like, okay, now you got customers, but you're in the hole. And so it's kind of like every experiment that I do doesn't have to bring in, at a break even, doesn't have to bring in a lead at a break even, but every experiment that I do has to point me in a direction that says, you know what, this idea is valuable enough that the cost of a lead is at break even if you're spending money on advertising, which is funny because I think that when you look at something like, you know, uh, direct salespeople or I don't know, some network marketing businesses, right? They've created that business model just so that it doesn't cost the company any money to bring in the leads, right? By recruiting people that recruit people, it means that everybody that comes through the door came in at no cost to the company itself. It might come in at a cost to you if you spent money on it, but it doesn't come in at a cost to the company. So it's like that's the idea. It's kind of like you got to know the game that you're playing. And the game that I'm playing is whatever system that I set up, whatever product I set up has to bring in leads, like meaning the initial person, the initial prospect, the initial person that's going to buy at a rate that is cheaper than I'm spending to acquire them, or at least at a rate that's not leaving me in the hole for each one that I'm acquiring. Now, it doesn't have to turn around immediately. It might take a day, it might take a week, it might take a month, but I need to be able to draw a line that says if I put in $1, I get back somebody that's going to spend $1 in X amount of time. So that was the first thing, is just know the game you're playing. The second thing is your time as an asset. So this concept of like assets and liabilities, as who the guy from Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki, talks about assets and liabilities, and I like his definition, which is an asset is something that puts money in your pocket, and a liability is something that takes money out. It's that simple. If it puts money into your pocket without you needing to spend time, it's an asset. If it takes money out, it's a liability. So, by that definition, it's kind of like he uses the example of your house. Like if you own your home and, people say it's like, oh, your home is your biggest asset. It's like, nope, it's a liability, because unless it's a rental property and tenants are paying you and you're making more money than you're paying for the mortgage or whatever, then it's a liability, because while you sleep, it costs you money, versus while you sleep, it makes you money. So thinking about time as an asset. So if you think about time as an asset, there are lots of options as far as like um, directly providing consulting services, freelancing, things of that nature that basically there's a direct correlation between the time that you put in and the money that you get out. And in that case, that means that if you go to sleep, your business stops making money. If you're the only person that's providing that service, to make your time an asset means that you have to create something that can keep making money while you sleep, even if it costs you time to do it. Like I'm spending a ton of time on research right now, and that's definitely a lot of work. But it's like upfront work where it's like by the time I'm done with this, done successfully, the way I'm envisioning it, it's gonna be something that I put into a system, push a button, and let it go, and it's working. So that's kind of like that's the thought process on that aspect of it, of your time as an asset. So about look at thinking about how do you spend your time and invest your time up front so that whatever you're building, whatever you're creating is something that can work without your direct input for it to keep sustaining. So that's the second thing that kind of like came to mind. The third thing is to always keep the main question at the top of your mind. And the main question is a simple one. How will your business make money? That's pretty much it. It's a simple question. And you should be able to answer it in one sentence. How will your business make money? So in this case, mine is essentially I will promote an information product of some sort that I can deliver asynchronously to a market of people that are working creatives that are trying to transition into more things that are, hopefully ways to make money and be more efficient in producing from things that they care about. Now, that was a complex answer, so let's simplify it. I'm going to take all the things I know about making projects happen and getting things done, and I'm going to help people that have projects that they want to get done to do it. And I'm going to set it up in such a way when they come in and they pay for that, they can receive that information without me having to physically be there at that exact time that they're receiving that information. Now, it doesn't mean that I won't have some things that I'll, be presenting in real time. Like I might, I'm debating if I'm going to do like a live, if I do a course, like the first training that I do might be, the first product that I mean might end up being just a training that I do live, but I'm going to record that and then put it up. The sale that's coming in is going to be for the recorded version and not for the live version. Or I might do a few of them till I feel like I've got one that's good enough to do it. But once it's there, it's going up in a system that you can go and log in at your own time. And then, maybe I can schedule calls and things like that and upcharge for it. But that's a bonus. That's a perk. That's an additional thing that I can offer. It's not going to be the initial. The main business itself is going to be something that can make money without me being present. And then the fact that I actually do enjoy engaging with people and like solving the problems of like where you are, how do you start, and that whole outcome strategy part of it is something that I can then do because I want to, not because the business relies on it. The fourth thing is very close to the last one, which is can you remove yourself? Right. So if you're providing a service and you're the only person that's providing that service, how do you remove yourself? If you can't remove yourself and the only way that you make money is that when you show up, you get paid, then you created a job for yourself. But if you start to think about your business and say, you know what, how can I set this up in such a way that I can remove myself if I need to? Now you can step in and be there temporarily, right? So then you're hiring yourself. But if you're hiring yourself, you got to make sure that you've defined your job in such a way that somebody else can do it, because nobody's going to give a crap about your business like you do. And the fifth thing is you should be interchangeable, which is exactly the same as the fourth thing. So in short, step 1 through 5, How are you going to make money? Don't create a job for yourself. That's really it. At this stage in the process, I've been going in and digging into what are people really struggling with as far as like those people in that area, because I know that every capable person that I know has the talent, the ability, the potential to be able to go and do exactly what they do in their day job or something else that's more creative and make money on their own. But there's a fear, there's this dread about stepping out and doing it. It's kind of like this mindset of like a sense of feeling like they're not ready and a sense of not even knowing how to start. And I think people have been lied to about thinking that it's them, right? It's kind of like if you look at it, if you're at least, if you're in the demographic, if you're in my demographic, then that group of people, there's nothing lazy about them or anything. Hold on a quick moment. Yeah, there's nothing lazy about those people or anything. Like these are very extremely hardworking people that are able to go up and show up and deliver on their day job all the time. But if you look at these people and what they're doing on the day job, then you know that they're capable. As hard as they work, they're able to start something on their own. But the idea of not having that safety net seems like something that's so crazy and so scary that they can't really like make that jump. Now, that's one group of people. The other group of people is they're so ready to make that jump, but they never learned how to plan. They never learned how to project manage. They never learned how to just the basics of product definition or how any of those things fit in, right? Simple processes or any of those kind of things. And so it's kind of like these are the things that are in my sweet spot. And I figure, you know what? These are the things that shortcut. These are the shortcuts to actual successful execution. And so for the people that are smart enough to know that if you leverage processes and systems and pre-existing patterns that work, then you can get success faster. I would say those are my kind of people, and those are the kind of people that I want to work with. So that's kind of like where I'm focusing all my research and effort as far as like my product definition. But I'm also keeping it in the back of my mind that I want to deliver as much value as possible, but without creating a job for myself. So I would say if you're following along and that's the stage that you're at in the process right now, then take a look at your business and see. Now, if you've already created a if you've already created a product, then make sure that your other components of your business is also not creating a job. So for example, if you've created a product that's like a physical product or an information product, then by itself it should live on its own anyway. But if you've made it such that the only way to market that thing is for you to show up every day to be the only person that markets it, then again, you're in trouble again. Like if you couldn't put some type of predictable system around it where you can say, by putting in this unit of effort, this unit of money, this unit of time, I get out this type of result from my effort in this component of my business, then you may be creating a job for yourself. And I would say just do a quick audit, look at all 5 parts of your business and make sure that that's not happening in any one aspect of them. So that's it for today's episode of Starting 101. This is episode 15. And this we're in September now, and I'm shifting my focus completely. So by the end of this month, and it should not take that long, I would have made my initial offer of my first product. And I'm looking at it like a test because I think one of the things too that gets people like really hesitant and reluctant to, you know, put out their business idea is this idea like, oh no, if I try it and I fail, then I'm going to look like a failure in front of, I don't know, my family, my friends. um, I'm doing these things live. So if I fail, I really do. I don't care. I'm over that at this point because there is no failure here. It's just experiments. It's either going to be like, I know for a fact that whatever I put together is going to be of immense value. I might undersell it just because that's something that I'm struggling with and working through. I might undersell it, but if I'm really standing on my strengths, I know that my superpower is being able to take an idea and make it happen in as fast as possible with the resource on hand. And I also know that I am amazing at taking concepts and ideas and systems, putting them into repeatable frameworks that anybody can follow, regardless of skill level, talent, background, or anything, in really plain language. So I believe there's value in that. And if the small sample of people that have gone through like the intent framework are a representation of what's possible, then there is a lot of value there for other people. It's just, will I do enough to sell it and share it with the people that can actually use it? I hope so. But speaking of the intent framework, um, if you haven't had a chance to look at it, it basically walks you through like any idea that you have right now. If you're thinking about starting a business, or if you're thinking about expanding your business with a project or some new product line or something like that, and you need some clarity on it, then it really takes you from end to end. So go check that out at jpadamsonline.com. It's the URL there in the video. Check that out, and see you again on the next one. By the way, if you haven't subscribed, like the page or subscribe on YouTube so that you can see these when they come on the next time. All right. Thank you for tuning to Starting 101. Again, I'm JP. Have a good night, and I'll see you on the next one.